Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV, wherever you are from on this look at this. It is glorious. But, could it be glorious in the Tottenham Hotspur transfer window? News coming out of today that Tottenham Hotspur have now approached Crystal Palace over Eze, the name that everyone has been talking about all window. We've been talking about this all window, haven't we? Now, before we all get our knickers in a twist, before we all start going, oh my God, our chairman, the owners are amazing. This is the ultimate of sliding doors moments. This is the ultimate sliding doors moment for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Let me paint you a picture. Spurs don't sign either of these two players. And we go into games with Tell and Odeberg, Bergvall in the 10. Spurs do sign Savino and Eze. Suddenly, we've got a three behind a striker of Kudus on the right, Savinho on the left, and Eberici Eze as the playmaker. Have a look at that. That, for me, is serious. That, for me, is a team where you go, right, yeah, now I fancy us going into many games. Right now, I don't fancy us going into games. Lack of creativity, lack of goals, lack of pace, lack of power. Who's ringing me? Why is someone ringing me? Ash, why are you ringing me? Ash. Oh, you didn't mean to call. Right, sorry. Oh, Ash, you got me excited. Normally, Ash only calls me on WhatsApp when Spurs have signed someone. And I'm like, oh, we've signed. No, we haven't. By the way, Newcastle are in talks over Jacob Ramsey. There we go. Newcastle starting talks with Aston Villa for Jacob Ramsey. Listen, we're going to have a look at all of what the Ben Jacobs have said, what Fabrizio Romano said. We'll have a look at it all. But what we do know is that Tottenham are in talks with both Manchester City and Crystal Palace for Savio and Eze, respectively. Now, here's what I'll say. Signing players, right, is very different to being in talks with players. Now, we all know that. I think we all deep down, we know that. We all know that. But this is now in Spurs' hand. We know this isn't going to be cheap. The club will know this. We know that Eberici Eze has got a release clause that runs out on Friday this week. It's now Tuesday. Sounds like a long way away. Or as the kids would say, how many sleeps? 3 sleeps. 3 sleeps away from the release clause ending. Now, we know that the release clause is made up of certain measurements. We know that it's 68 million. We know that it's made up of certain components, which will be X amount up front. No, this is not true. This is not true. The release clause runs out on Friday. It didn't run out. It didn't run out. I'm going to show you. For those that don't believe me, I'm going to show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you. So I'm just trying to see who said it. Someone said it earlier on. One of the reporters said it that it ends on Friday. Either way, whatever happens, Tottenham have to move. If Palace wants 70 million, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Was it Romano who posted it? I'm pretty sure somebody posted it earlier. I read it and went, oh, right, okay, that's interesting. Let me have a look. Let me just double check. That was Romano on that. Let's have a look. So he's saying, hang on. Where did I see it? If I'm wrong, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure somebody said that he's released. Anyway, either way. If Crystal Palace wants 65, 70 million for Eze, go and get it done. If Man City wants 60, 65 million for Savio, go and get it done. This is a sliding doors moment for Tottenham Hotspur. This is the moment where you turn around and go, right, what are we made of? Forget YouTubers like me calling out the owners. Forget people who are Levy Out, Levy Out, Enoch Out. Forget the protesters. Forget all of this for 1 second. Right? Here it is. Here it is now. If this is true. So Alex Crook has said here, Eze's release clause expires on Friday, not 2 weeks before the season as previously thought. Tottenham in talks as per reports. Now, I don't know. Listen, again, so I don't know. Romano saying it's expired. This guy saying it's not. But forget all the noise. Forget, I wanted him, you wanted him, he wanted him, she wanted him. She said we can't get him. He said we can't get him. Spurs will never do a deal. Forget all of that. Now we're about to see what are Spurs made of. What are Spurs made of? This is a sliding doors moment. I can't put this out there anymore. This is a sliding doors moment. This is the difference for me between having a squad. Don't get me wrong. There'll still be a lot of very mediocre players back up, which is why I still think we'll be nowhere near the 4. But 5th place gets Champions League. If these 3 come off, suddenly my prediction for the season changes to 5th or 6th. 5th, ideally. That's only my opinion. But there's a number of factors. There's a number of factors here, aren't there? Both clubs are going to make it tough, aren't they? Both clubs are going to make it tough for Tottenham. This is where Daniel Levy has to show us that this isn't a, we tried. We tried. This can't be a, we tried window. We're there. This isn't monitoring. This isn't keeping tabs on. This isn't asking for conditions. We have approached both football clubs. And surely, these 2 signings bring us together as a fan base, don't they? You would have Kudus, Savinho, Eze, and Paulinho, all 4 first-team starters. Yes, Matt, because the difference between me and you, when you say raise the standards, is the squads are what win you through the end of the season. Our squads compared to Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool aren't there. It's not about raising my standards. I'm just going to put you in a I'm bored of you. There you go. You'll go in. See you later. It's not about me raising my standards. First of all, let's get that 11 sorted. Then we can worry about what's beneath it. Right? This is the problem. We go from 0 to 100 like that. We go from 0 to 100 like that. If Tottenham Hotspur get Eze and Savinho, right? By the way, I've put him in a timeout. Whatever I say, as I said, guys, if I say I really think we can get Champions League in 5th, Matt has to say something different. If I had said 7th, he would have said 6th. If I had said 9th, he would have said 8th. That's just what he does. I will get an Eze and a Savinho official shirt, both there, right? I will get them both there for the season if Tottenham manage to get this done. But, listen, this is 2 tough deals to do. It is tough. And this is where Spurs have got to show the cojones. Spurs have got to show the cojones. Talks underway between Spurs and Palace. It will be a major coup. Work to do, though, and a release clause that expires on Friday. Yeah, I thought I was right. Sure, but map him. We can't worry about next summer right now. But before we worry about, I agree. Before we worry about next summer and January, let's get it done this window. Show the football world. Now, do you know what this also does? Yeah, everyone's sending me that it's Alex Crook who said it, and then George Sessions. Okay, yeah. you know what this does as well? It shows players that want to come to it. Shows that players that we're going for, hey, look, we just got Paulinho, Kudus, Savinho, Eze. Come and join us. Suddenly, look at it. We've got a great coach. We've got these top players. It shows people like Romano, stay at Tottenham, sign a new deal. Look what we're doing. Imagine people like Romano and Van der Ven suddenly look around the changing room and go, cool. When we get the ball forward now, we're getting it to Eze, to Savinho. Players that are going to scare the opposition. But will we do it? That's the question. Nate, if you're going to be that, I see you every show being an idiot. No, this is not. There's history there. Stop doing that. Just stop doing that. Yeah, shut the door. Yeah, that's fine. This is a sliding doors moment. All right, I'm just getting. Sorry, this guy's now put this in 3 times, so he's going. See you later. I've got no time. Anybody, I'm going to be honest. Anybody, I've got no patience for people. Right? Anybody who starts putting in the same post 3 or 4 times will be blocked. All right. Anyway, back to the football. There'll be no apology letter. Why would there be an apology letter for my chairman acting like a chairman for once? No. Why would there be an apology letter? This is what we asked for. This is what we ask for. If we're a proper club, if we're a serious club, by Friday, these 2 deals will be done. If we're a serious club, we will see both these players at White Hart Lane on Saturday. Now, let's look at the Eberici Eze situation. Let's have a look, shall we? So, let's have a look. Let's go to Fabrizio Romano, I believe was one of the first. Let's go back a few hours, shall we? Okay, so here we go. So this was 8 hours ago. GG Donnarumma. There we go. So understand that Tottenham are back in talks for Eberici Eze in separate deal. Where's Danny? Danny told me we weren't going to go for a playmaker. For Eze in a separate deal from Savinho. Spurs trying again for Eze whilst they work on Savinho following the Maddison injury and Son exit. Eze is keen, but the deal depends on Palace as release clause expired. Now, this is where I went, release clause expired. Then everyone else started saying that the release clause hadn't expired. So in true Romano fashion, he didn't stop there, did he? He didn't stop there. He said this, and we'll look at some other reporters as well. Fabrizio Romano said he reposted it. So he reposted it. He loves a repost, doesn't he? Then 1 hour ago, he said, Tottenham keep working on both Savinho and Eze deals. Spurs want to add 2 attacking players to the squad, and talks with Palace City are ongoing. Now, guys and girls, this is either going to be the biggest anticlimax ever, where we all feel absolutely deflated, right? Or this is going to be one of those windows where we go, yes, that's the window. That's the window right there. Now, I've asked in the chat, I've asked in the poll, quite simply here, we said, will Spurs sign Eze and Savinho? The options are both, Eze only, Savinho only, and neither. Now, so far, 622 votes. Now, by the way, 622 votes, right? But only 176 likes. Guys, are you telling me that you can press a button to vote, but you can't press a button to like the show for me? Come on, people. There's there's 1,100 of you in here and counting. Smash that like button. Please subscribe as well. Now, let's see what Ben Jacobs has had to say about this. Ben Jacobs has said this. Where are we? Ben Jacobs has said, there we go. Let's scroll down a tiny bit. Let's see where we are. Here we go. So 2 hours ago, let's see if that was the first one. 2 hours ago. Here we go. Spurs in fresh talks for Eberici Eze, as Paul O'Keefe called. Spurs have decided not to move earlier in the window, but James Maddison's injury means that the Palace attacker is now a genuine target. This is the bit we don't want to read. AFC, them lot down the road, the Arsenal, still hold an interest. No bid to Palace as of Monday evening. Okay. Then he said this. Spurs, sorry, that was the same one he reposted. And then Spurs also view Eberechi Eze as the number 10. It means that their pursuit is separate to Savinho, who Man City FC insist they don't wish to sell. Now, not wishing to sell and not selling are two very different things. So there's a lot of moving parts here. And I will say this. If we look at Arsenal, from all the reports we're hearing. Now, bearing in mind, these are the same reports we heard about Man United. Man United can't sign Mbeumo. They can't sign Sesko until they sell Garnacho, until they sell Xerxes, until they sell Højlund and Anthony and Sancho. They didn't sell any of them, but signed all of those players. Now, we're hearing the same noise about Arsenal, aren't we? Right? We're hearing that Arsenal want Eze, but don't have the funds to buy Eze. Now, I don't know if that's true. Listen, I'm like you. I read what I read. I see what I see. Doesn't mean it's true just because I say it on a screen. But if that is true, then you have to ask the question, how desperately do Spurs want the player? If we want him desperately, we will do this before Arsenal have the opportunity to sell Trossard, to sell whoever it is that they're looking to sell to raise funds. I believe it's Trossard and a few others. Let's see. What are we made of? Are people like me going to have to sit there and go, absolutely superb window? Because do you know what? What I want for the season, guys, what I would love for this season is to not have to talk about Daniel Levy and Enoch. That's what I would love. I would love that Daniel Levy and Enoch are not the topic of conversation for any shows. For those saying our team is better than last season right now, you're deluded. It's not. We've lost 91 goal contributions. No, it's not. For anyone, I'm seeing a few people in the chat saying it. Savinho and Eze makes our team better than last season. Right now, we are weaker. Right now, we are very much weaker. We don't have forwards that can score goals. See you later then. You don't have to be here. I timed out Matt because he does it on purpose. I'm not timing out people for disagreeing with me, but I will time you out. You don't tell me I spend too much time on here. Listen, mate, when you've got your own channel and you see who is who, right? You understand the game. What people have got to remember, by the way, in the chat, some of us that do this for a living, we understand. We see who the trolls are. We see who the people are that are just being awkward for the sake of it, right? Okay, that's twice. You put that in one more time, you're gone. It's that simple. And here we go. There's the triple. He's gone. There you go, guys. It's not that he disagreed with me. I've got no time for it. So, guys and girls, at the moment, let's have a look at the poll. At the moment, 59% have said that we will sign both. Now, this is 831 people. 831 people have voted. Right? 831. 59% have said both. 3% have said Eze only. 13% have said Savinho only. And 25% have said neither. So 25% going, no, this is Spurs. We're not getting it done. 59% saying, you know what, we are. We are. So, J Love, you confirmed to us that the deal was done. So it doesn't look like you were right, does it? The deal is not done, my friend. But thank you. You did give us some good. You did give us some good times. Listen, for me, I think this is. Let me know if you disagree. This is our team. I think if we sign those two, let me know your thoughts. For me, that is the team. And Vicario is the goalkeeper, by the way. We all know that. So Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Paulinho and Bentancur with Kudus, Eze and Savinho behind Solanke. Now, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. Will it happen? We don't know. Let me know in the chat right now. What do you make of that team? Now, of course, this is an 11. It's not 11s that win your stuff. It's squads. But in a first window for Thomas Frank, this would look very nice indeed. This would look very nice indeed. I look at this and I think to myself, you've got your DM in there. You've got your DM in there. Now, don't get me wrong. I would like to, next season, upgrade on Bentancur. But you've got your DM in there. You've got a powerful, skillful, quick right winger. You've got a very quick, skillful left winger who gets a lot of assists and will add some goals to his game. And then you've got Eze, the maverick, the guy that the ball sticks to. That's the most important thing for me. The ball sticks to. He will get the ball, hold it up there, play off of. Imagine Eze and Kudus linking up on that right-hand side. Imagine that. We don't have that right now. Just imagine that. Imagine Eze and Savino linking up on the left-hand side. And I think these lot would do wonders for Solanke. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of Solanke. I never will be. But I think that these would do wonders. These would do absolute wonders for Solanke. Through balls, creativity, crosses being whipped in. Mate, listen, Neds, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not doing anything to myself. I'm literally reporting the news. I'm literally reporting the news. Big up to my man, George. Do-Rag Diaries.
Come on. Big up, man. Pleasure to be here. Big morning, man. I can't even. It's been a big couple of days, Savva. We said it last week. We needed more transfers. We need to spice this up. And I know we were talking, like, that team you've little got there, that little graphic is a big improvement on what we were looking at last week. I'm not going to lie. Because we were looking at potentially a Grealish on the left. Was it Eze in the middle? And I'm like, Savio on the left, Eze in the middle. This is looking a bit more potent for me. Attacking threat, 1v1. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Suddenly, see, this is the fine lines in football, George, and welcome back to the channel, mate. This is the fine lines of football. The difference between that and at the moment we're playing Bergvall or Sarr where Eze is, and we're playing Brennan Johnson where Savinho is, and Richarlison where Solanke is. The difference in those positions is frightening, isn't it, George? Like, we're talking night and day.
Yeah, night and day. It's so different. In the 10, Eze, you talk about a prime creator, maverick on the ball. You're looking at three. The thing is, for me, I look at Savinho, Eze, and Kudus as three players that are confident to create by themselves, but also combining together will probably create even more dangerous stuff. I just think that it's complete night and day. You look at a game against Bayern when Richarlison and Brennan were running forward. They're running away from Kudus. He was looking for someone to receive the ball, to bounce off of in the attack when we're transitioning. Yeah. He had none of that. There was nobody there to help him. Now you've got an actual player like Savinho and Eze who come get the ball off you and take on a few players themselves to create more space for you. It just works so much better. And it's good to see Spurs showing some ambition, but it's only real ambition when bids are put in it? That's what I say. It's always inquiring, monitoring, and shortlisting, but I need to see some bids. I need to see a bid.
Well, listen, we've got look, I've got a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Do-Rag Diaries. If you haven't subscribed to my man George, please do. If one of my mods would be so kind to put George's link in the chat, what's the next milestone, George? What are we looking at?
4K. I'm like 350 away or so. We're closing in on the 4K mark. So,
guys, there's nearly 1,300 of you in here. Surely we can just get the extra 300 and get George to 4K. So please smash that button. Please smash the like button. Just quickly before we carry on, just really quickly, thank you, Tony Rodriguez, my man out there with the Swedish Corona. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate. I think you've been a member since like day one of this channel, man. So big up to you. Thanks, Tony. Really appreciate you. DMB forever, always in here with the super stickers. Thank you, bro. And also the 1984 European Cup winning team. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. The Big D said Eze and Savinho would be exactly what we need. Absolutely. It changes everything for me in the season. Big up to you. We're going to talk about that, the Big D. Thank you very much. And Emma Morton, always in here. Emma from Teesside, always in here. Putting in the super stickers. Thank you. Very generous. Really appreciate you for that. Please smash the like button. Please subscribe as we chase down 22,000 subscribers. So please do smash that button. George, let's start with Eze, because Paul O'Keefe dropped that, I think, in the middle of the night. And I always know when I wake up and I look at my phone and it's like I've got about 19 different people have sent me a WhatsApp. I think either someone's died, right? Either a family member's died or Spurs have done something. And it is one of those two options. Listen, Eze, Romano saying his release clause has ended. Lots of the rest of the football world are saying that the release clause ends Friday this week. If his release clause does end this Friday, it's in our hands, right? It's about the ambition at that point. We know what it is. Pay it, get it done. No excuses, right? Or is that too harsh?
Well, we definitely know this release clause ain't got an NDA. So that's quite out there. It's not got an NDA in this one, Spurs. So there's no legal approach, and it's very easy to get this release clause active. One thing I've seen is I spoke to Palace D. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He said from a long time ago that the release clause was active until the day before the season. And I've seen Fabrizio and all these other people said, and Jacob Steinberg come out an hour ago and said it's still active. I believe the UK journalists and the people that are closer to the ground saying that it's active, because I think that would be the case. I think Eze and Palace and Parish are smart enough to know it's probably good to keep it on until the last day, because straight after their Community Shield game may boost a little bit of more of clubs that were interested in him. Easier to get the deal done. Now, for Spurs, we know the problem is, and probably will be, is with a release clause, you have to pay a lot of money up front. I don't think Spurs are looking to invest a 30-40 million pound in Eze right now. And especially with Crystal Palace being tough negotiators, they may not be willing to move on that stance. Now, the way that I'm looking at it is Eze is a player that we've monitored for a very long time. And if Spurs want to get this deal done, I don't think personal terms will be an issue, because like we said, we've been speaking to him. We've obviously had intermediaries find out what he wants, and this has always been on the Spurs radar. And like we saw in Fabrizio's tweet today, is that he is keen on joining Tottenham. I think he's just keen on leaving Palace and playing at the top level, especially with the news that we saw yesterday to allude to that they're not playing Europa League no more. So Palace need more money because they need to replace that Europa League money they was going to get, but also they're going to look to potentially Eze. No, he doesn't want to play Conference League. He's going to look to move on himself and play some Champions League. So I think Eze. Ben Jacobs has just come out and said,
"Hey, I'm waiting, George. I'm waiting for you to stop talking to bring
go
it up."
for it. No, go for it. I just
not in a rude way. I was just waiting for. There you go. Look, it's ready to go. There you go. So Ben Jacobs has said more on Eberici, Eze, and Spurs. It's a bit of a longer one. This one, people said fresh talks have started in light of James Maddison injury and failure to land Morgan Gibbs-White. Eze, a long-standing target. But earlier in the window, Spurs had decided not to move. Here we go. This is where them lot down the road get involved. Spurs are aware of the Arsenal have player buy-in, but believe Eze has not discounted their project. Everyone loves a project. Spurs also prepared to move quickly. We'll talk about that. Remember that sentence, George, because that's what we're going to talk about. Both Spurs and Arsenal view Eze as a number 10. We understand that Spurs' starting valuation is similar to the 55 million paid for Kudus. Palace want the 68 million release clause triggered or matched, even after it expires. Now, George, the key things here are, first of all, pinch of salt. Does Ben Jacobs know that we value him at 55 million? Second of all, Spurs are prepared to move quickly. Right, George, in Spurs language, what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's here we go? Or is this a couple of weeks of quickly?
Well, do you know what? I'd love to say it'd be tomorrow. Now, if you go off the Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White news, and to be fair, I feel like this window, although we've taken very long to move on players, when it was Gibbs-White, when we was interested in him, the deal got wrapped up pretty quickly. Kudus, I think it took a week for that deal to get wrapped up or so. Paulinho, that one seemed to drag on a little bit more. Not really too sure with that one. But when we say quickly, I pray that we get another double bomber day on a Friday like we did with Kudus and MGW. That's what I pray. We get a Friday, we wake up day before the season started, maybe off the back of potentially a loss in the Super Cup. Not putting it out there, I think we might win. But off the back of that, let's warm our hearts with a here we go on some of these players. Now, say Spurs are going to move quickly. I would say likely over the next week. I think they're looking to get this deal done over the next 7 to 10 days. But again, at the same time, Arsenal monitoring. So if Spurs start to move quick, Arsenal are going to be, they're going to be hearing news and they might start to move quick as well. So Eze stuff it could go either way. I'm confident that we could get him if we want him. But again, I think the problem is going to be who is willing to pay the money Palace want. I think Palace have the strong hand here, and that's the tough thing is when you put the strong hand in Palace and Parish's hands, he's he's probably a worse negotiator than Levy because when I saw that 68 million even after it expires, I believe that. I believe that he will not accept anything below 60, and if a deal does get done, I think it will be for the exact amount he wants. That's what I think.
Yeah. Listen, you could be right. I mean, the worrying thing in all of this is that 7-letter word that begins with an A, and it is Arsenal. The Arsenal. I mean, look. Obviously, we don't care. This would be hilarious, especially for someone like you, George, who loves going on panel shows and winding people up. If Spurs got Eze and Savinho, we'll talk about Savinho in a bit, but if we got just Eze, but potentially both, I think the Arsenal fans would be in meltdown. The fact that they didn't get Eze and the fact that we got Savio and they got Madueke. But we heard in this window before, Man U can't do X, Y, Z until they sell. Guess what? Man U did X, Y, and Z without selling. Can Arsenal afford this? Do they need to get rid of players? What's going on? Do you think they're going to bid?
No, I'll be honest. I don't think they can. I think they have the money, and I'm not denying Arsenal. Just like Spurs have the money. But when I mean, can they afford it? I mean, it's not within their budget currently to go and get a deal done without getting players. So we've seen even with Chelsea, they've brought in. Obviously, Chelsea's business is the volume is so much higher than everyone else's that it's understandable they need to get rid of players. But they've stalled on deals like Garnacho and Xavi Simons due to forcing some more of these players out. I think a lot of clubs are in a similar position to Arsenal. We probably are ourselves, needing Richarlison, needing Basuma, needing a few of these players to be sold. But Spurs have realised that we're not in a position to wait until these players are sold before we move on these deals because we've already missed out on a lot of players up until now. Now we're looking at the position in the window we're lucky that Eze is still available, and we're lucky that Savinho has even become available of some sorts, and he's still not. There's still some convincing there to do on Man City side of things. So looking at how this is all played out, I think it's a case of he may choose Arsenal, he may choose Tottenham, but it's the one that's going to be the best deal. I think for Spurs to get him, he's going to have to be the highest paid player at the club. That's what I think. I think he's going to have to be the highest paid player at the club. We're going to have to offer him very favorable personal terms, which I'm all for. We've got 3 players above 100k a week at the moment. Arsenal have 16. That's the difference between us and them at the moment. They offer players what they want. We're not offering players what they want. So go out there, be ambitious, make Eze our most paid player, is what it is.
Yeah, I said earlier to some people, this is a real sliding doors moment for me. We talk about being a big club. We talk about the ambition. We talk about why did we build the stadium. Listen, these two deals, these are two players that, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my God, they're both world class, but they are levels above what we normally buy.
Yeah.
So for me, this is the sort of ambition where I think Spurs are at the moment. This is the sort of ambition, I think, where you go, okay, the owners do care. Okay, the owners do care about what happens on the football pitch. Okay, we are backing Thomas Frank as the manager, and it's within our grasp. Let's be fair. I'm not saying that Spurs in one foul swoop, George, are going to rock up to Palace and go, right, there's 68 million and here's your release clause paid. But I do like to think that we get near it. I do like to think that we offer something as a sweetener. I do like to think that we say, how about we give, I don't know, 55 million plus for Richarlison, 50, I don't know, just something. I'm just spitballing, right?
Yeah.
To not get either of these players now would take everyone from the absolute highs of the ecstasy to the lows. And I think could almost have a detrimental effect on our season. To go from, look what you could have had, to, let me show you, right? Let me show you. This is, people were asking me to put together, what would the second team look like? Now, we can argue all day long. I don't really want to get into semantics about it, but roughly, Kinski in goal, roughly Adogi, Dragusin, Danso, Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, Johnson, Kulu, Odegaard, like just roughly, right? These are, you can move around Johnson and Odegaard and Tell and Kulu. And for me, now all of a sudden, if you've got to promote 3 of them to the first team, doesn't look as strong.
Yeah.
So this is that fair of me to say that this is a sliding doors moment? This is a huge moment in the club's history.
Massive moment, because look, we're right now, I'm thinking that this transfer window has been unprecedented in the point that every team is moving serious. Like the top teams are doing what top teams do, and they're moving like big clubs. We're the only one of the top 6 at this moment in time not moving like a big club. Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, City, Arsenal have all made big signings, all invested £200-300 million in their squad to try and improve. And it looks like it could be a 4-way title race next season if the players play if the players perform to the level that's expected. Spurs need to catch up. Spurs need to close this gap. Forget just on those teams. You need to close the gap on the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Aston Villa, who have some really good players and showed last season that they're not to be messed with. So this is a real sliding doors moment, because we go get 2 players of this quality in our team. We jump that jump from 17th to 6th is no longer a jump. It's just you move into those positions just with the team that you've got. You look at that bench. Now I'm looking at the bench. I'm like, okay, got some good players to bring off the bench, potentially Kulu's come in and challenge. Oh, you've got Odegaard can now just come in for 20 minutes behind Savio, and then you got Tell coming up. Like, I'm not against all these younger players come off the bench. I actually like the younger players we got. I think they've got high potentials and good, but to have them as your starters, that's what a club like Sunderland do. That's what a newly promoted team will do. You'll see them have all these youngsters playing. A club like Tottenham can't have 18, 19, 20-year-olds littered throughout their first team, starting week in, week out. We need experience, and that's what Eze brings. And we talk about players of the right character, right morale. Eze is that. Eze is the perfect type of character you want into your team. Not going to disrupt too much of the flow. He's just going to come slotting, and he's going to be that type of maverick that we need, man. That number 10, we're going to be missing Maddison and Kulu for some time. We need someone of his quality to come in and really replace that, man.
Do you know, it's interesting that you touched upon the, the age of the players there, because for me, if you've got an 11 like I showed the first time, the first 11, it then allows in the background the pressure off of Tell, Odegaard, Bergvall, great. All the people that are going, oh, I think they're going to be amazing and they're superstars. It takes the pressure off a bit, because now suddenly what you're saying is they're not first team starters. Those guys will come in when there's injuries. Those guys will come in when there's maybe a massive game coming up midweek against, I don't know, Inter Milan, when you've got Wolves at the weekend and Inter Milan midweek. You go, okay, right. Do you know what, Eze? You've got a tiny little knock. You come out. I'll tell you what, you go in there and play in there, Tell. Right, you're now playing around good players. You've got to learn from that. You've got to grow. It allows that to happen, George. At the moment, what we've done is we've put loads of the young players and hoping they're all going to learn and grow together, which is not what the big clubs do. The big clubs, you learn from top players. Yeah. So I want to be excited, George. I really want to be excited. I've been hurt, like you have, like everyone has, so many times by this football club. I don't want to get to the end of next week and we tried. I don't want we tried, right? Because and especially now, sorry, I know long-winded. Whoever gets Eze out of Spurs and Arsenal, now we know we're both in for him, right? The bragging rights of the club that get him is going to be horrific for the team that don't get him. It's going to be, they're going to be unbearable, like we will be if we get him, right?
Definitely. And I was already having this with Dan Potts yesterday on Midday Live. He was Spurs ain't in for Eze. If we want Eze, we get him. Spurs ain't even got a chance and all this. And I was going, all right, don't worry. Because if we do get Eze, Arsenal fans, I think Arsenal are going to look way worse than if we don't get Eze. Because as we saw in the Ben Jacobs, we moved on from Eze quite some time ago. We've come back in for him now with the Maddison injury. Now we need a player of that quality. Now, I don't think it was right for us to move on from him in the first place. I thought we need a player of his quality anyway. But for us to come back in for him after Arsenal had 4 to 5 weeks of a free hit to then come and take him and hijack the deal, they're going to have egg on their face. Arsenal fans have been twerking for Eze for however many months. Like we've seen, I think for me, he's a player that's going to want to play in the 10. I think he wants to play in the 10. Although Ben Jacobs says Arsenal view him as a 10, I think he's going to be used on that left wing. There's no way that you're going to be able to operate him and Odegaard in the same midfield. You could, but then you got a very attacking midfield in a lot of games. You ain't got too many jewelers in that midfield. So I'm looking at it, I'm going, if he's going to want the opportunity to perform in his position and try to break into that England squad for the World Cup next year, like we're seeing again with a lot of players, so World Cup year, they need to play a lot of minutes. I think he'd be silly not to choose us. It'd be silly not to choose us.
Look, I'm just looking at the odds of where Eze is going to end up. At the moment, the bookies have got it quite even here between Spurs and Arsenal. 11 to 10. There you go. Let me make sure I get this right. 11 to 10 that he goes to Arsenal, and 11 to 8 that he joins Tottenham Hotspur, and 3 to 1 that he stays at Crystal Palace. So the bookies seem quite convinced that he will leave, but it's which North London company go to. But the bit I want to talk about here is I can't get out of my head, George. Levy and Parish in negotiations. I just feel like this adds just a huge kind of FU, no FU type conversation going on. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I was literally... Steve Parish is literally one of the worst negotiators. People would have seen that with the Zaha reports for years. Zaha wanted to leave. He'd hand in transfer requests and still end up staying. They just end up giving him a little bit more money. Even with the Eze stuff we saw just 2 seasons ago, Eze agreed a fee with Chelsea, and he's like, no. Release clause, new contract, you leave next year for the money I want. And it would end up being 65 million or whatever it was. I can only imagine this negotiation just take it very, very long-winded and just a headache. Both of them are going to end up banging their heads against the walls because we know Levy doesn't want to pay the 68 mil. Parish is going, no, you don't pay anything but the 68. And Levy's probably going to end up just working his way up very slowly, 55 plus 5, 56 plus 7, 58 plus 10, and it's probably going to end up being 60 plus 8 million in add-ons. That's what I reckon it's going to end up being, something around
but wouldn't it be lovely, just for once though, George, wouldn't it be lovely for us to just get a, Romano's coined the phrase, wouldn't it just be lovely in the next 24 hours for Spurs to just go and put it down? Because that shuts all of us up, doesn't it? It shuts all of us up. For people like me, for people, people that have been really critical of this ownership, we wouldn't be able to say anything. If there are reports that 38 million of the 68 million needs to be paid up front. Now, again, depending on who you read, depends on what we know, right? But if that's the case, find that money. Enoch, find that money.
Yeah.
Find the money. You find it for hotels. You find it for this, that, the other. Find that 38 million. Make it happen. And all of a sudden, I think the protests stop, right? The protests stop, don't they? Yeah. Leave Enoch out, suddenly becomes very, very quiet. And we all go, fair play, over to you. Over to you, Thomas Frank. Can they do it?
They got to. They've got to get it done. If Levy really wants to show that he's ambitious about this club, and if he wants to get everyone off his back, like we saw Change for Tottenham release something last week to suggest that there may be a protest coming up. So it might just be, all smoke and mirrors, and it's just a coincidence that now Spurs are interested in some more players. Now we're trying to get a deal done for Eze. We know how much Levy doesn't like the protests and so on, but I'm just more worried that we're being used. We're being used, that the Spurs interest is being used for him to get a better deal at Arsenal or something like that. Because I don't think that is the case, but it could always be behind the closed scenes. We don't know what's going on, that it could be the case because Spurs are just not serious. So I just don't want us to be going in there wasting our time trying to negotiate for a player or trying to negotiate a deal that we know that we're not going to do. So, yeah, and that's my only worry. That's my only worry here.
I mean, surely you would say that the fact that we're approaching Palace means the player must have given some indication that he's interested, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have approached Palace. I guess this is all going to come down to speed, right? But I want to move away from Eze just for 1 minute, and I want to look at the Savinho one as well. Now, obviously, no deal for Spurs is going to be easy because we're Spurs and we just don't do that. Now, the noises coming out of the Savio deal are that the player is interested because he wants first-team football, wants guaranteed first-team football. Man City don't want to sell, but Man City could be forced to sell if a bid comes in that is too good to turn down. Now, they paid about 25 million for him, if I'm not wrong, somewhere in that region. If Spurs go in at something like 60 million, that's a big whack. That's a lot of profit.
Is, though, even with that, Savva, they bought him from themselves. So this is pure profit for them.
Yeah,
they bought him from traders who they own anyway. So it's like, you're going to pay 25 million from another team. They're pretty much making, this is a 40, 50 million pounds straight profit for them. Like, this is an amazing deal. If we offer them, I think we value Savio at a similar price to Kudus, if not probably a little bit less. But we're going to have to be willing to pay that money to get the player if we really want him, because I don't think City are going to accept anything but 50 million. Seeing the price, seeing what Madueke went for, seeing what Alanga went for, this is the going rate. It's gone up to 50 million pound now. This 50 million is the new 30 million from 10 years ago. We're going to have to pay that. And I'm more than willing to overpay for a player of Savinho's quality. We talk about 1v1 demon. You talk about a player that can take his player on just consistently. Look at the stats, people. He's in the 98th percentile for dribbling and take-ons completed in not just the Premier League, in the world of football, in the top 5 European leagues on FBref. You look at this. He's one of the top dribblers out there. And when you talk about having Kudus on one wing, Hing on one wing, we saw that graphic the other day, Savva. I know you saw it. They talk about the best attacks in the league. It said all the top 5 and then someone else. We weren't that someone else because our attack's rubbish at the moment. You put Savio in there.
Mate, I don't think our attack's in the top 12 or 13 in the league. I think our attack is really weak.
Yeah, at the moment.
Right now, it's really weak.
Yeah, it's really weak. But you put Savio in there, you put Kudus in there together, and then you put an Eze. It's a different attack. It's a whole different attack. And we now that's starting to scare some foot. That's going to scare fullbacks in the Champions League. They're like, I don't want to go up against Savio and Kudus. I don't want that game. It's a long day. Looking at Odegaard and Johnson, you're laughing. Not Odegaard. I wouldn't even say Odegaard because I like Odegaard, innit? But when you're looking at players of this quality, you're not scared. When you've got a top quality players like these ones, it's just that little bit different. So we got to go out there and pay the money that City want. And I'm more than for overpaying, especially at this point in the window. Overpay for players. I really don't care. Overpay. It's just get good players in.
Yeah, I see a lot of people going, oh, I wouldn't pay more than this for Savinho. I wouldn't pay more than this for Eze. Right now, as a football fan, I don't care. Right now, Tottenham Hotspur, I tell you what, I will have massive respect if this club go and drop the best part of 140 million on Eze and Savinho. I will have nothing but respect for the board. I will have nothing but respect for them this window, right? Because the thing is, it's not only about what you pay for a player up front. You've got to think every player you bring in of quality improves your league position. That improves the revenue that you get. That improves how deep you go in competitions. That improves the revenue that you get, right? What that also does is that will make some of the players that don't want to leave sit up and say, actually, I need to leave. They're bringing in players in my area. Do you know what I mean? That will make the Richarlisons. You know, that might make, maybe then you say, right, an Odegaard or a Tell goes on loan for a season to get 90 minutes. it gives you options. So it's not just the 140 million outlay, it's what you could get back from it. So, for example, last year, Villa got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League and made themselves something like £85 million in prize money. We're not getting to the quarterfinals of the Champions League with this current team. I can assure everybody we do not have the forwards to make that happen. Suddenly, you're going into Champions League nights with Eze, Kudus, Savinho. Suddenly, I'm going, hang on. We might be able to go to some of these bigger clubs, hit them on the transition and the counter-attack, sit in with Bentancur and Paulinho, and then give it to those three. I mean, look at them. Eze, Savinho, and Kudus. Pace, power, skill. Like, the money will make itself back. You just got to be... Oh, I'm so scared.
And I know. The thing is, I know a lot of people are alluding to that. They look at Savio's stats. They look at Kudus' stats. They say, these guys don't score goals. Where are we going to find goals? Look at what Thomas Frank has done with his attackers. I know he's known as a defensive manager. We know his style of football has seemed to be defensive of some sort since he's come into the Premier League. People, if you've watched him before, would have seen his football at the Championship level and probably last season at Brentford. He is an attacking style manager. Likes players that get on the front foot. More than anything, he gets the best out of his attacking players more than anyone. And Romo, Tony, Vissa, you look at Sharda last season. You go back to the likes of Watkins that he had. He had Said Benrahma play for him. Mopai play for him years and years ago. He knows how to get the best out of attackers and make these attackers goal scorers. I'm looking at Savio and Kudus, and I say these are the perfect type of players for him because they could do everything. They just need to finish up on, and those minute things in front of goal decision making in the final third. That's where they need to work on. That's where I'm gonna put it onto Frank to be like, this is where I need you to coach these players. And the thing for me is, if Frank wants a player, especially in his first window, we all talk about how Ange got backed in his first window. He got 3 or 4 first team players. He got Johnson, Vicario, Van de Ven, and Maddison. Go give Frank the players that he wants. Give him a 10, give him a left winger, give him a right winger. And do you know the biggest thing? It goes to show people how bad our attack was last season. They thought our attack was our back attack was so bad. Frank came in and said, bring me a 10, bring me a left winger, bring me a right winger. Let's revamp the whole thing. That's how bad it was. Like, we need this.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point you raised there, George, about what Frank's done with players. And I always think that when we look at his time at Brentford, they got Ivan Toney from Peterborough, I think it was Ivan Toney from Peterborough. It was and turned him into a bloke where last summer everyone's going, do Arsenal need him? Do Chelsea need him? Do Spurs need him? In the end, Saudi, but right, you've got Benrahma who got the big move, and Buemo's just got his big move. Wissa's about to get a big move to someone like a Newcastle. This guy has a history of getting the best out of players. Now, it doesn't mean it happens like that, but it will be quicker with players like Kudus and players like Savinho. It will be quicker with them than it will with the others because I think they've got a better baseline to start from. Mm-hmm. For me, George, I'm old school, right? I always think that Spurs, listen, I don't care if people want to talk about tick-attacker football, but I don't care what we call it. Spurs have always been a team that we excite, right? Those 3 going forward, forget the striker for the moment, those 3 going forward, back 4s will not want to face that, George, because the moment Bentancur and Paulinho pick up the ball, it will be, right, where's Eze? That'll be the first port of call. Where's Eze? Because he's the one that makes things happen. Yeah. If not, where's Savinho? Where's Kudus? Now imagine you're in a back 4, George, and those 3 are running at you on a counter-attack, or those 3 are running at you. That's a fullback and centre-back's worst nightmare. Quick, powerful forwards. It's their nightmare, right?
Yeah, an absolute nightmare. You got 3 players that, again, they have you questioning yourself and questioning what they're going to do because they're so good. Kudus could take it right, he could take it left. Same with Eze, same with Savinho. The thing that I really like about it as well is I actually think that they would end up creating for Solanke a lot more. I know a lot of people aren't big fans of Solanke, but looking at Tottenham last season, like I've just highlighted, the attack that he was playing with wasn't set up for him to have a lot of chances. He didn't get a lot of chance in front of goal. If you just looked at the Bournemouth team that he played with under Iraola, he had Kluivert behind him. He had Semenyo behind him that were getting the work into the outside, getting to the byline, getting that ball there and then cutting it back. A lot of his goals came with in and around that 6-yard area from cutbacks and crosses. I think that with Savinho, with Kudus, you take advantage of this and you actually have your striker score goals. You actually create goals for your striker. So looking at it like that as well, having that front three, you've now benefited another player who's going to improve from that. And I think you automatically see Solanke's numbers go up to 15 plus next season in the league. Like I think we need a striker, no doubt. We need someone to compete with him. But I think Solanke does improve majorly by having these players next to him.
George, your mate has just messaged me. Your mate has just sent me a WhatsApp. You know who it is by this. Said, lol, watching you two get excited is funny. Do you forget who you support?
Wolfie. Is that Wolfie? Of course it's Wolfie.
Of course it's Wolfie. To which I sent him the link. Do you know what? I'm not, as I said, I'm excited at the thought. But there's no part of me that goes, 2 done deals. There's no part of me that says that, right? But I am going to get greedy and say, I don't now want one of them. I want both of them. I want both of them as a package deal, right? Because I think the fans deserve it. I think the club deserve it. I think Thomas Frank deserves it to go into the season with this. And it completely changes the game. Now, I'm interested to know from Wolfie, if he comes on, I'm interested to know, if we get those two, plus we got Kudus, does it change his opinion that Forest are going to finish in front of Tottenham?
It's not, because McAtee is better than Eze and Ndoye is better than Savino. This is what he'll come out and say. This is what he will say. You know what he's going to say? Oh, well, we've got Milmore, Gibbs White, and then McAtee, so I think our midfield's better, blah, blah, blah. Like, we know, looking at our teams, even now, I think that we will finish above them. I've got a feeling Nuno's probably going to have a pretty bad start to the season. We've seen how their preseason has gone. It's been awful. Wolfie clearly hasn't looked in the mirror at all the past couple months, because 7 games in preseason, 0 wins, 1 goal scored. It doesn't look good. You guys need a lot of signings. We obviously need a few, but the few signings that we're going to get and the caliber of signings we're looking at are very different caliber to that of Forest. So, look, these are the types of players we need to get done. We deserve it, like you said there. I heard a week ago we was looking at either a 10 or a left winger. We said that we need a 10 and a left winger and a striker, ideally. Finally, Spurs look like they're waking up. And, you know what I'm looking forward to? Just having Kudus and Savio on the wings. That's football healing to me. I'm someone that, you know, some people call me eye test merchant, and I'll happily say that. I like to watch football with my eyes, not a calculator. I like to be pleased. I like to get off the seat. I like to watch wingers go in and out. Back to watching Bale and Lennon at Spurs. This is what we grew up on. You know, Ginola, Darren Anderton, like these wingers that always go out there, man. This is what I grew up on at Spurs. So seeing these types of players, it's just beautiful to have them back. And yeah, man, I'm just ready to see this football, scintillating football back at Spurs on those wings, man.
Look, we'll see. Look. He's full of it. He's full of it, isn't he? Look, why not mention who you have up front as well in Solanke? Listen. If he's got those 3 behind him, I think Solanke gets me goals. Do I think he's the greatest striker? No. Would I like to see a better striker? Yes. But if you're telling me the trade-off this window is no new striker. Oh, here we go. This is where chat. Just remember, when I bring Wolfie on, please chat, just remember it's only YouTube. When I bring certain YouTubers on, the abuse people get is mad. Please, can we not do that? Here he is. Wolfie. Do I sense someone's a little bit jealous that these might happen?
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. I just bought a box of tissues to cry into. I love this. You know what? It's cute. It's cute. I haven't seen you smile for ages, Savva. For ages.
I mean,
and there's you planning all this attack. We'll put Kudus here. We'll put freaking Eze here and Savinho there. And I'm like, okay, go sign them.
Let me start off. Do you think, Wolfie, listen, it all depends, right? I never know. When me and Wolfie have a one-on-one chat, I always know I'm getting sensible, Wolfie. There's 3 of us here, though, so I never know what I'm going to get.
There's something about that face, man. It
rattles him. It rattles him. It's that reality check, man. He knows. It's because you know what it is, though. what it really is Wolfie's jealous. Wolfie's jealous of Spurs. Wolfie
Definitely.
wants to be in our position right now. He's playing Europa League football, but his
now,
club's
yeah.
not even acting like a Europa League club. Wolfie, let me ask you this question. Do you think you're winning Europa League? Because obviously we just done it and showed you guys that it's not that hard. So are you going to do what we just done? Because obviously you're European champions. You're used to this, ain't you? You always say.
Yeah. If I win it, can I say I'm European champion? Champions of
I'm asking you, are you going to win it? You can't answer that with another
I
question.
think it's between us, Villa, and Roma. So am I sitting here saying we win it for sure? No. But
is it all those goals you're scoring in pre-season that's giving you that hope that you're going to win the Europa League?
Clean sheets more than the goals, mate. You win championships with clean sheets of the defense, isn't it? As Cluffy would say. So
let me ask you, Wolfie, of those two, Savinho and Eze, listen, you know me, Wolfie. I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, it's 100% happening.
But this is the most excited I've seen you, Savva. You can't deny that.
Well, listen, because of course, listen,
You're a
because
fan. I hear it.
Because Tottenham I don't normally hear within the space of 48 hours that we're in for two quality footballers like Eze and Savio. Normally, I'm hearing that we're in for, no offense, we're in for El Canous, who's a kid that's not done anything. We're in for this player who's 19 from Metz or something. What chance do you think of any of them, Wolfie, getting over the line at Tottenham? Any of them? One of them? Two of them?
I think out of the two, Savinho is more realistic than Eze. My feeling is Eze would want Arsenal. Savinho, I don't know. What's the story of him? Does he want to leave? Is he pushing a move? Is this an inquiry? Where have you got to on it? Like, I think he's a really good player, by the way. Needs to improve his end product. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me that Levy can go in and try and get two very good players at the same time. And have you approached both these players legally, by the way? Let's start there.
Well, actually, you would know from a long time ago, Wolfie, when you thought you were getting Eze, because me and Wolfie have done a show on my channel where he said Forest were getting Eze over Spurs. That's how confident he was. Said, Eze would choose. He would choose Forest over us. No. You said he would choose Forest over us. I've got the clip.
Okay. But did I say he's going to Forest? You asked me.
Then he would choose Forest over Spurs. That's what he said.
You asked me
you think he
which player. You see, I've got a good memory, George. You asked me which player, if I could have a player, would I want this transfer window? And I said Eze.
No, but when I asked you, do you think he would choose Forest over Spurs? I said, yeah.
100% he'd choose Forest over Spurs, bro. Like,
let's try something quickly. Guys and girls, if you want both Savinho and Eze, smash the like button. There's 1,500 in here and 550 likes, which is pretty shambolic. I'll do some super chats in a minute, but please do that. Just so you know, we did a poll. We've done a poll so far. 1,700 votes. Bang on, 1,700. The question was, will Spurs sign Eze and Savinho? The options were both, Eze only, Savinho only, or neither. 57% have said both. 57%. Eze only is at 5%. Savinho only is at 15%. And neither is at 24%. 57% of the Spurs fans getting excited, lads.
How many burner accounts you got, Sav? Look, I think realistically, Savinho for me would be the one. The main reason being, I've not seen anyone else linked to him. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're going in and it's just, is anyone else linked to him?
No, not that I've seen.
That's why I think that's a more realistic target, because Levy can just do the one-on-one thing. There's no other club that, say, Man City can use to play off on Spurs and what have you. And historically, those are the kind of signings I see Spurs doing. I never see you really getting involved in a battle with, say, another of the two big six teams or something like that. So I can see that one being realistic. With Eze, it just feels to me like, because it's been dead for a few weeks now with the whole Arsenal thing, is this some kind of smoke screen to be a catalyst for the Arsenal move? That kind of is what it
could also be the Maddison thing, right, as well. I don't think people realise that without Maddison, we've got, like right now, I mean, we play PSG tomorrow night. I'm absolutely scared because we've got no creativity. Like there is no one in midfield that can put their foot on the ball, pick a pass. with no Maddison, with no Kulusevski, Wolfie, that really does change the complex of how Tottenham Hotspur can play. We now become a really compact, a well-drilled unit, but a boring unit. If we're going to be brutally honest, it's going to be boring without a playmaker. So do you not think that's what's driven this?
I think you could, or maybe Frank is thinking about using, and I don't agree with it, Kudos in the 10. Because then if you brought a Savino,
Ajax, I'll be open to it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That might be the thinking. So if you bring a Savino in as a winger, don't forget you've still bought the wonderful talent that is Tell, so you can use him as a winger. I think sometimes you guys are dismissing how they rate the players compared to how you guys rate him. Because signing Tell for me says there's got to be some kind of plan to use him. Not in every game.
We rate Tell, but Tell's the replacement for Richarlison. That's what it is. We've been trying to push Richarlison out the door for a long time.
Yeah,
Tell plays on the left. He also plays as a striker.
Before the Maddison injury. That's before.
Yeah, that's my point though. But I think Tell was we were always going to sign another left winger on top of Tell. That was always the case. Spurs have always been in for a left winger. That's especially since you forget Sonny left. The Savinho buy is to replace Sonny. And the Eze buy would be to replace Maddison. What you have to look at with those two players just individually, in the Premier League alone, they was about 30 around 30 GA together. We need players that can replace that quality. There's no way that they would have looked at and said, yeah, Tell and a number 10 is going to replace that of El Canusa. No, they know that, especially with Maddis being out till March, Kulu not being back until October, December, we need somebody's coming now with that quality if we want to compete. And if, let's have it right, if he actually wants to back Frank of some sorts, Frank has not been backed. He's got 2 players in this window, 2 new players.
I'm still saying you could see your hierarchy looking at it and thinking, all right, Kudos can play as a 10. All right, so if you go get Savino, you've still got Tell, you've still got Odebear, you've still got Johnson. Those are still options. Where they're maybe what they're thinking is okay with Kulusevski being how long's he out for till like October time?
It depends. He had a kneecap injury, so he may not come back as the same player. Like he could come back and take 3 months.
Yeah, I hear that, but let's just say you're looking at 2 or 3 months, right? Are Spurs the type of team that are prepared to do? If it was at Chelsea, I think Chelsea lost Colwell. I could see them just going straight out and replacing a defender. Are Spurs more the team that will be like, all right, let's shift Kudus into the 10. We can put, we'll get Savino, put him on the left. He's still then got Johnson. You got backup of Tell. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying, is this the mindset of your hierarchy, or are they ballsy and thinking, right, with Maddison out, let's now go and get this as a thing. Let's go and get this. Let's build the team.
Wolfie, isn't the key thing here, right? I've said this all along. The key thing here is it's all well and good approaching these clubs for these players. If you're serious, we know what we're going to have to pay to get them done. If we're serious. And as I always say to you, there's a difference between me thinking Spurs are a big club and Spurs being a serious club, right? We know what we're going to have to pay for Eze. If we're serious, we won't go into them with 50 million offers. We won't go in with 55 million offers. They've told everyone what they want. We know it's going to be 68 million. If Spurs are serious, get to that 68 million by hook or crook. If Man City have said, we will sell Savio, but it needs to be at 60 million, 65, pay it. If you want them, pay it. Otherwise, it looks like it's just an exercise in keeping the fans happy. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
I think that's very fair to say, because if you're talking about 60 million for Savinho, that's not an overinflated price. I think if you look at the market rate, anything between 50 and 60 this summer is where you're seeing these wingers going. The 60 million is not a huge price. The other thing I'd say as well, and I think you may have mentioned this on the stream we've done before, is that usually when Spurs go in for a player, it's not widely reported. Like, I didn't see anything on Gibbs White before you got Gibbs White. Kudos, was it that busy? The whispers on it beforehand. So when you're starting to see the likes of Eze, Savinho being in the public eye, this is slightly different to what we've seen in this transfer.
I'll be honest with you. I saw the Morgan Gibbs White stuff like a month before it happened. It was just very, not great links. I think the Eze stuff has been around for a long time because we've had a long-standing interest in Eze for 3 years or so now. Spurs have always looked at Eze, always admired him. The Savinho stuff, think has generally come out of nowhere off the back of we met Man City to meet with them regarding Jack Grealish. That's been reported. Now, when we went to go meet Man City, whether we find out whether Savinho is now available because they're looking at facilitating some other moves, that probably was the case. But look, we always know with Spurs, it's all about market opportunities. This has been, our thing for years. We always take advantage of what's going on in the market. Eze is now a market opportunity off the fact that he's not moved on. No other team has picked him up. His release clause is still active. Same as Savio. It's just a market opportunity. So I'm just looking at both of these options. Spurs are looking around.
Do you see Eze as a smokescreen? If you look from Eze's point of view, do you think he said to his agent, man, Palace, because what the other interesting point about this, boys, is the timing of this from an Eze perspective, where Palace have been put in the rightful European competition, and he's thinking, I don't want to go to
You are shameless. You are shameless.
They broke the rules, bro. They broke the rules. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's looking, thinking, I'm above playing against a bunch of farmers in a farm field. I don't want to play in Conference League. I'm getting towards my, late 20s now. What is he, 27, I think he is? Like, this thing could also be, because it only happened yesterday, Eze could be looking to push a move now, and that's 100%. Kind of sealed the confirmation in him, and this is what's triggering it.
100% for me. I think it's got, but you got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, listen, as much as we don't want to say Arsenal are a big club, right? If he is using us for Arsenal, I mean, he's making an enemy. However, there are a lot of links. So, for example, Paul O'Key said last night that Eze is very good friends with Justin Cochran, who is now our main coach, right? Who is now he's the number 2 to Thomas Frank, and he's the one that's widely regarded as the great coach out there, right? I don't know. How much do we read into things like that? Does Eze want Arsenal? Is Eze saying, I want Arsenal, but you need to make it happen, hurry up? Can Arsenal sell players? Who have Arsenal got to sell to raise those funds? There's a million questions that go with all of this, right? And we're all here to just speculate. All I know is, if we're serious, if Tottenham are serious, this is what I want to see, Wolfie. Make Eze make the decision before Arsenal can move. If Tottenham are serious, pay what Crystal Palace want. If it's 68 million, give them the 68 million, and then we're going to Eze. There you go. Deal's on the table.
So I'll tell you what's interesting as well. Usually you see that once a Romano or an Ornstein comes out and says, Tottenham, let's just use Eze, is interested in Eze. Usually there's the tagline, no problems with player with personal, what they want on a personal level.
Terms,
yeah. Personal terms, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Haven't seen that with this one. Which, okay, it doesn't have to be the norm, but in the majority of the cases, you could, or, I saw yesterday, McAtee. I mean, I don't know what Romano was doing, but he was just spamming it every 5 minutes. McAtee to Forest.
He has said that he
wants Forest.
Romano has said this morning. I mean, look, it's difficult, right? Because, I mean, how much do we want to hang our hats on Romano using a word? But he has said that he is keen, and that it all depends on Palace's release clause. I just can't stop but harping back to it. What do you want? If he wants to come to Tottenham pay the money.
It doesn't seem like it's a hard deal to get done. I feel like Spurs would have known the personal terms from a long time ago to get this deal done. Like,
personal terms are easy.
I don't think it would ever be a problem. I know it hasn't been reported, but also I think it hasn't been reported because Arsenal and Tottenham are both going for him. So it's not like they can come out and say personal terms aren't an issue for Arsenal, personal terms aren't an issue for Tottenham. The money won't be an issue, but who he chooses will potentially be an issue. So that's where it's at. That's where it's at.
But he's on 100K. He's on 100K a week at Palace, right? I mean, Spurs can get that to 200 if we need to. Let's be brutally honest, right? That can take over from Son's 200 grand a week.
Yeah,
that should be
I think at Spurs, he has to be the highest paid. That's the only thing is I think if he comes to Spurs, as opposed to at Arsenal, where they've got loads of players on a lot of money, he doesn't mind if he's not a highest paid player at Arsenal. But I think at Tottenham, he will come in and want to be the highest paid player, knowing that our highest paid player at the moment, I think, might be Romero on 150, 160 or something like that. He will come in on 180 to 200K a week, and I don't think it'll be a problem for us.
And George, I'm sure you would agree with this, and I mean this in an objective way. In a World Cup year, no, honestly, I do. In a World Cup year, I'm trying to put a Spurs case forward here. Is he more like he walks into your team? That's the point I'm making. Yeah. With Arsenal, there's still we've seen the debates on the shows we've been on. Is he going to play on the left? Is he going to be back up to Odegaard and so on? In a World Cup year, that should be if you're Levy, that's what you're battering him with. We're going to build this team around you. There's a World Cup year coming.
Yeah.
I get it that you might want to go to Arsenal, but think about the summer ahead. Yes, Arsenal may go deeper in the Champions League, but they'll end up with no silverware. So is there a big difference from going to Arsenal or Spurs this year in a World Cup year? And you got to start playing to his ego. That's got to be the angle on this one. You know what I'm saying? Offer him the money. I would say to him, okay, if Arsenal are interested, whatever Arsenal offer you, we'll add 10% onto it as well. So don't worry about the money. Kind of have those promises with him. This has to be, you've got to go over and beyond to get him, because the return he will give you is second to no other player in this transfer list, in this transfer window. This is why George, Eze is a standout player. I think he can play in a counter-attacking team. He can play against a low block team. He can unlock a defense. He can shoot. He can score. He can take free kicks. He's one of the most complete players in the Premier League, and of course, he's proven and all that shit. He's done it for years. This for me, if I'm looking at it through your lens, is go and be serious about him. If you overpay, if Palace are a hard one to negotiate with, right? Look at how Newcastle struggled with them last year, for example, with Gahey. Look how they've been kind of holding Liverpool off to the price they want with him as well. Levy's got to stop being such a tight ass on this one. You got to go and pay 75 mil for him. Pay 75 mil. Just as you said, Savva, put a proper offer on the table. And I'd be ballsy. I'd go up to Parish if I'm Levy and say, right, you want 68 for him. Is exactly what you've been asking for. We'll pay 50% up front, not 30%. We're done here. We're going to go speak to Eze. Get it done. Get it seriously done. And you got to woo him as to why Spurs would be more beneficial. It's not the better project, but it's more beneficial.
But this will all tie into what Daniel Levy was saying on the overlap, what Daniel Levy was saying in that interview he did with Vinay. If we're talking about we have ambition, the Europa League was just a start, we want to do this, then deals for 68 million, they may sound massive to Spurs because we've never paid anything like that. But that's what the Chelsea's drop. That's what Man United drop. That's what City and Liverpool drop. If you want to compete, if you want to be trying to get back towards that top four, and Eze is not going to be 55 million. Crystal Palace and Parish will look in the market. Let's just assume the release clause is not there, just for 1 minute. Crystal Palace are going to look at, well, hang on, and Buemo's gone for 65 million. Cunha has gone for 65 million. Well, cool. You're not getting Eze for 15 million cheaper than that. You've got to pay the same amount. You've got to pay 3 or 4 million more. And this is going to, let's see, what are you made of, Daniel Levy? What is he made of? This is huge. This is a huge week for Tottenham.
Is the release clause gone? What's happened to the release clause?
It's still there, apparently. It's really weird because so many people have come out and said it's closed. Some people have said it closes on Friday. I'll be honest. I don't think the release clause actually matters. I don't think it does because, like we've seen with Ben Jacobs, you have to pay the release clause whether he is after the date or before the date. He wants 68 million, and I don't think he cares about the deal being structured. I generally just think they want to. You know, Steve Parish. I think he's got a lot of ego. He's one of those guys that he just wants a 68 million pound because that's the price he named. He wants to win this deal. He needs to win on the deal. So,
George, if the release clause is there. It was widely reported that the payment structure was out as well, wasn't it? It was like in 3 installments, 2020 plus the rest over 3 years. I just wonder that if the release clause is there, I would have expected you to have already hit it and just gone in, because the payment structure doesn't even sound like a crazy one, like a 70% upfront or something.
I think it's like 38 million or something up front. Yeah. I think it's like half at least up front.
It's either that or the structure they want is like 20 million 3 years across 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Over 20 plus the rest, yeah.
Whether it's 50% up front or not, right? If this is the guy that we've identified, this is the guy, go big.
Yeah.
Hit it. By the way, Brentford are in talks with Rennes for France striker Arnaud Calamawundo.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, we would
a
love to.
brilliant little signing for Brentford, to be honest.
And get that
That's
done by the weekend.
if
I don't
they
think
get
he's
that
that good.
done-
I think he looks good, but
Ooh.
I wouldn't take him.
No,
I don't
he's
know.
good, bro. The only thing is, he's a
when
bit
I looked
short.
at him,
He's a bit short.
yeah, he's short. He's a bit nippy.
Yeah.
He gets in behind and stuff. But for us, I think for a team like Brentford, you do well. Transition and all that stuff.
Oh,
it'll
that's what I
work
meant.
out over there, but yeah,
That's what I meant. For you think for them, they've got to replace Wissa and Mbuemo's goals.
yeah, he works.
So-
He'll be good for that. Yeah.
But listen, I think you're right. I think we're all right. This is one of those where let's not have 4 or 5 days of will they, won't they. Spurs have offered 54 plus a packet of crisps and this and surely go in, get the deal done. And if we're a big club, if George wants to be able to go on these panel shows and show that chest of his, right?
Get the money.
Go and get
out.
him and Savinho. If we're a big club, go and get him and Savinho and revamp this football team.
Trust me, Wolfie, they don't want me to get the money sleeve out. If I drop that money sleeve
again, man. I want to see that sleeve again.
I need that money sleeve out, man. I need to see those bids, man.
Man.
I need to see those bids, but I do need to head out. I do have another show. Big up to Savva for having me on. Always a pleasure. Wolfie, always mudded. Since you said you always win, you haven't won a game. So shout out to Meatball Marinakis. But yeah, man, people, make sure you show love. Smash a like on the stream.
We'll talk soon, George. We'll talk soon.
See you, mate. Thank you.
Wolfie.
I was just going to say, Sav, you know what I would like to see? I would like to see Spurs going heads up with an Arsenal, with a Chelsea in these things. I want to see
wouldn't.
No, but hear me out. But I want to see if Levy's talking about, this is where we need to be, this is where we want to be, then you got to start with the battles you're going to have with the teams that he claims you're competing with. So I would like to see how Levy does in that situation. Has he got it in him? I always hear Levy, he's a master at these things. This is his wheelhouse. I want to see, can he get a player over the line when a Chelsea are interested, or an Arsenal, or even a Manchester United are interested? This would then tell me that Spurs are being serious. Because at the moment, it still feels like you're going for those ones. I almost feel like your list is, okay, Savinho, no one's after him. Gibbs White, no one was really talking about him at the time. Kudos, who else was pushing for him? Paulinho, who else was pushing for him? I want to see if you're serious. And I get it. It doesn't really matter in the longer term of things as long as you get the right players. But is he prepared to go for those players that he thinks is just out of reach?
Look, we'll see. I think the problem that you've got is when we go head to head with a Chelsea, with an Arsenal, with a Liverpool, I think they've got more to offer. They have. Now, what we can offer, I think, over those clubs in most circumstances will be, hey, you're guaranteed first team football every week. But what the other clubs have got is, hey, look at the superstars you're going to be playing with week in, week out. Look how many trophies we win regularly. All these different things. So, look, I think it's the opposite. I think we strike while the iron's hot. I think we strike while Arsenal apparently need to still sell. We don't need to sell. Tottenham need players. We don't have any PSR issues, and we've got the money. Right now, for me, is the moment where you go to Palace and you go, deal, get the deal done. And you say to Eze, we understand Arsenal are interested, but we're going to put the money down for you tomorrow. We want you in the club by Saturday. We want you here. Arsenal can't do that. We're going to build the team around you. We're going to make you our highest paid player. Think about the World Cup coming. That's the angle I would be going down.
Yeah. The other thing to mention is Palace have done zero business this summer. I think they've spent 2.5 million. I am sure you have plenty of players that you would like to offload. So could you look at this deal and potentially throw a couple of players in to reduce the price to make this better for Palace? Because I've been speaking to our Palace mates, Rich, D, and all those. They are getting worried about their transfer window. Obviously, this European football stuff has slowed it down. The Palace are now going to have to move in the market. There's been noises about Glasner's not being happy. Will he stay? Will he go? He's only got a year left on his contract. Potentially, there could be a couple of players, one or two, that Spurs could chuck into this deal that Palace need to fill in a few of their gaps as well. So maybe that's something Levy should be looking at. Can they chuck a couple of players in there? Can that
Sure.
reduce the price of it, move this along quicker, etc.? So I think there's some options for it. I still just feel, bro, that Eze either ends up staying or going to Arsenal. Savino is the one I think probably you can do.
The war-torn version of Savva that's seen all this before doesn't disagree with you. But it's they keep telling us we're going to move different. They keep telling us they've got ambition. Show us something different. I mean, look, let me ask you about the Savino one, right? Because with Eze, we know it's a straight up release clause right now. We know there is, and we know Arsenal are involved. The Savino one, we're told that Man City don't want to sell, but obviously not wanting to sell and not selling aren't the same thing. Yeah. And all the reports are saying that if Spurs were to offer something in the region of 60, 65 million, that Man City wouldn't stand in his way and that the player's keen. What do you think of Savino?
I think I was shocked. I remember because I went to message you when it broke, and then I looked on YouTube and I was like, "Fucking hell, he's woken out of bed. He's live now." It broke quite late, didn't it? And hearing,
no, so I'm saying to this person, I don't think we'll get both, but I think we need to get one at least.
Okay.
Sorry, not you.
I was surprised to hear how many Spurs fans, were downplaying this one. Because I don't think they've watched him pre-Man City and playing on that left-hand side and how creative he is and how good he is and how much potential he has. I think at Man City, he's done really well, apart from in his end product. But he does have end product if you look at his time before Man City. So I don't know how some Spurs fans can turn their nose up at this one. This would be a decent pull for Spurs. This is the kind of player I think Spurs should realistically be going for. And this is the kind of player who can be developed to be even better. If he can get his finishing, his assists and all that up, and he's played on the left-hand side for me, I think he does a lot better than playing on the right-hand side. You can just see it. We spoke about this the other day, Sav. You can see it in a player who has natural talent. The question is, can a manager utilize that natural talent out of the player to get the best out of him? Now, I do honestly think, and I know it sounds crazy to say, but Pep was using him in the wrong position last season. I prefer him on the left-hand side. You're on mute, bro, I think.
Oh, am I?
You're on mute. You're on mute. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Can everyone hear me?
Can you hear us?
Can't hear me.
Is it me?
Hang on, let me ask the chat. He isn't on mute.
He isn't on mute.
So, yeah, I'm not on mute. I'm not on mute. No, I was gonna.
Let me jump out, jump in. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, all good, bro. All good. Look, guys, it's going to be interesting. Danny Kiriakou, mate. I'll jump on. I'll send you the link, and you'll know where to be seen. Danny doing Danny things. Look, I really hope we get these done, guys. I mean, lots of people saying, have I heard anything? I would hear the same things as you. I'm not in the know. I would hear the same things as you. So listen, I really hope we get both. Let's see what the Spurs are. Let's see what happens. I think this is going to be tough with the two negotiating. Wolfie, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
You got me now. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Mate, I think one of the key things I think we've got to realise here is if a release clause is not going to be hit. Oh, actually, sorry. No, we were on Savino now, weren't we? We'll go back to that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree with you, Wolfie. But I think he's a left-sided player, not a right-sided player. What I also think people have got to take into account is when you play on the wing for Man City, you spend your whole game not actually being allowed to be a winger because you've got all the ball and the other team goes into a low block for 90 minutes.
Yeah, you're playing in one half.
I think if Savino was at a team like Tottenham, teams won't put a low block against us every game, and he'll have a bit more freedom on the transition to actually be a flying winger that beats a man and drives a goal. Do you think there's any credit to that? I think sometimes playing for
I fully agree, mate. I fully agree.
I think playing for a City is brilliant when you're a Foden, a Gundogan, a De Bruyne, a Cherky. I think when they get wingers, I think it's very difficult because you constantly got 10 men to beat.
Yeah, but I think he's also very techie as well. Even I remember his debut last year against Chelsea, I think it was. And I was just watching this guy. I was like, he looks like he's transitioned into the Premier League seamlessly because he has that skill. Under Frank, where you will probably play in a bit deeper, that will give him more space to operate in the opposition half. I'm not saying you're putting a low block down, but I expect the line to be a bit deeper than an Ange line. So I just think, look, if he can find and rekindle some of that stuff in the final third, what he can do on the wing is top notch.
And for sure.
He's absolute top notch. It just becomes a question of, will City sell him? I don't know.
Well, this is it. I mean, the thing is, Spurs must have had some inclination that a deal is possible to make the approach. So we know that from reports, we know that the player is interested, and it makes sense. City have got a massive squad. Is he guaranteed game time? It's a World Cup year. Let's be fair. He wanders down to Tottenham and he starts every God-given game, right? Let's be brutally honest. He'll be our best winger. The question for me is going to be, how much does City want? Because if City don't want to sell, they could whack a price tag of 80 million and Spurs will go, well, no, this is ridiculous.
Mm.
If we get it to 60 million and they go, 60 million does it, you know what? Pay 60 million. And I know it's easy for me to say it's not my money. But again, it goes back down to, do we want to be a big club or not?
Yeah, I think the other thing you have to take into consideration is City this week are losing Grealish. Pretty much McAtee's done with Forest. That's 2 midfielders gone. To then lose a third in a short space of time.
Yeah, City will replace.
I get that, but I would.
Right?
They've got plenty. I hear that, but they will also have to plan for it. So if you've approached them and let's say they're thinking, okay, we can sell him, the City now need to look at their recruitment strategy and think, right, we need another midfielder. We've lost 3 midfield bodies here. Let's go get a winger. And does that slow the process down as well? So is this, I think maybe this is something that gets done, but not quickly because City need to reevaluate what they're doing. But there's nothing that should stop this. If City, as you said, it's not your money, who cares? But I keep getting told Spurs have so much money, you could spend hundreds of millions without any issues. So go spend the money. Go spend the money, get the players in. I don't understand why Levy doesn't want to give your fan base the actions, not just the words. Go do this. It's already too late, in my opinion, in the transfer window. I don't like business being done now. I think I like business being done probably 2-3 weeks ago, where a player's got time to settle in, where you've got your Super Cup final tomorrow, isn't it? You've then got the Premier League on Sunday. You're not let's say you got Savinho and Eze in tonight. They probably don't play or are ready for the game. Definitely not tomorrow. They won't be registered, but also for the weekend. How many training sessions would they get under their belt? This business needs to have been done earlier, but if it gets done, it gets done. Cool. I just think for me, if you're going to get either, it's Savio and not Eze, which probably means you get Eze now. So
look, as I said, for me, I think from the position they put it in and how they've positioned it now, and the fact that everyone knows that we are speaking to both clubs about both players, Spurs fans will be absolutely devastated if we don't get both. That is the problem.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that makes us greedy, but we're in the Champions League. We've got money. We've got the stadium, and that's what I think we've got a right to expect. That when people say we're greedy, I think we've got a right to expect that. They charge the highest ticket prices in Europe. They charge the highest price for kits. Everything at the stadium's expensive. They do deals left, right, and center. Corporate sponsorships, corporate partnerships. Fine,
Squid
okay,
Games
that's great.
2. You remember that one? Squid Games 2. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, oh mate, look, all of that. I've always said, knock yourselves out, make as much money from all that you want, but at least let it translate to the pitch. And you know what? The feel-good factor it would give us, Wolfie, going into the season with those two added to Paulinho and to Kudus, it transforms the season. I think getting those two or not is the difference between Spurs having a bloody good season and a really shit one. And I know that sounds mad for two footballers, but these two transform it. They transform the team.
What it does is the whole saying, isn't it? If you raise the ceiling, you raise the floor. Because if you get him in there, I know you don't like Jono, and I do understand why. But having Jono as a backup who can come in and nick a goal with 15 minutes to go or whatever, not a bad option to have off the bench.
Sure.
Same with Tell.
I just don't want him starting. I don't want him, you know what I mean?
As a squad player, but also what that would allow as well is the element of rotation within the squad. So let's say you're playing, I don't know, relegation threatened team like United or something. You could rest some of your bigger players or these newer players. You know, if the feeling is you can beat the opposition. So that also allows fitness and rotation. What have Spurs been terrible over the last 18 months on? Injuries. So if your squad is deep enough with the quality, then if you're rotating, and the thing is, you don't have to make wholesale changes. So, for example, if you're playing, who's been promoted? Let's say Burnley, let's assume Burnley are having a stinker. You come to play Burnley, you could rotate maybe Kudos out of the team. Next week, if you're playing, I don't know, West Ham, you could rotate an Eze out of the team. You don't have to make wholesale changes to rest the whole team, but within the period of a month, you can maybe make sure they're playing 3 out of the 5 or 6 games. Rotation, and that creates the element of safety over the fitness levels and the injuries. Now, you're not guaranteed it. A player could, you know, break his leg going up or down a set of stairs, but it just, planning wise, it's a lot better than ending up with whatever your injury count was last season because you had so many kids and not enough rotation options. That's why it's important, and I agree with what you're saying. 2 players in raises the ceiling because it releases 2 or 3 players underneath them to be backup. That's the key bit to it.
But this is what I'm saying. When people are glazing over the likes of Odegaard and Tell, these players for me shouldn't be starters at Tottenham. Those players should be what you bring in because you think that you can develop them under better players like Kudus, Savinho, and Eze. Then we'll see how good they are. The problem is, at the moment, they're first-team starters for Tottenham. And let's be fair, you wouldn't have them 2 as first-team starters at Forest, would you?
No.
You wouldn't have Tell, Odegaard as starters at your club. Let's be fair, Wolves probably wouldn't have Tell and Odegaard as starters at their club.
I was just going to say, I'm trying to figure out how low down the league table you go to find where they fit in.
Bottom half. Definitely bottom half.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
And that's the point. So when all these people over the summer have said to me, oh, you're so harsh on Tell and Odegaard and they're young. Yeah, but that's my point. They are young. That's my point. And they're not young like Savinho's young. But Savinho's just had 2 years, one in a title race in La Liga, where he was in the team of the season, right? And then he's just had 1 year at the champions of England at the time, Man City. So this boy is young, but has got big experience under his belt. He's played in Holland as well. The difference is you bought an Odegaard who's played, you know, however long for Burnley, done the square root of nothing, and then people are going, I like this kid. Sure, it's okay to like a kid, Wolfie, but that doesn't help you right now, does it? That doesn't, you know, you've got to have that right now and then let Odegaard grow and learn.
And in the scenario you're in, if this was last year, where you're in the Europa League and that Europa League looks so dusty with the teams that were in it, having those kids to bring into the group stage matches and things like that, that's good. That's a good ground for them to cut their teeth on.
Yeah.
This season, where you're playing Champions League, you may get 1, max 2 dud teams from the group stage, you know, from the pot 4 lot. Outside of that, it's going to be competitive games. And then the FA Cup doesn't kick off till January. Because you're in Europe, you're not going to be in the League Cup until the 3rd round. Therefore, the opportunities for these players, these younger players, to play in competitive games is going to be very few and far between in the season that you're in, the competitions you're meant to be in. So you've got to this season for this strategy. You need, I hate to use that dickhead Boris Johnson's phrase, but you do need oven-ready players. who can come into that team, who can advance the team forward. Otherwise, Spurs are not serious about doing anything in the Champions League or anything in the league. It's that simple, mate. If you're getting project players when you already have about 10 project players, I don't understand the logic. So Spurs need to get some high-end players, need to get them in quickly, because this weekend the Premier League starts.
No, mate, listen, I completely agree with you. It's got to be, this is why I've said this to years for people. When everyone wants to be, when everyone wants to be a super fan and I back every Spurs player, I back every player. You do this, you're harsh on this. I think it's all about the levels. It's all about the levels. It's all well and good people saying, oh, I don't mind Tell. I don't mind Odegaard. I don't mind Johnson. I don't mind Bergvall. I don't mind Gray. That's fine. But big clubs don't talk like that. Big clubs don't talk about minding players. Big clubs don't talk about in 2 years, he's going to be brilliant. What big clubs do is go, right, there's my 3-4 first team players this summer. Tell you what, we've got a couple of kids below that we're going to loan out or that will be backups or that will rotate in. That, for me, is exactly how a proper football club with Champions League football should be run. For me.
Yeah, there's too much sentimentality with players. I think I get it in the Forest fan base as well. Like Ryan Yates, for us, it's like because he's an academy player, he must be considered as a first team starter. I like the guy can't pass, the guy can't shoot, the guy passes backwards and sideways. Why do I want him starting in my team? So there's that with it. I get there's the affiliation with one of our own. But I see this in the Spurs fan base as well, because there's an element within someone's game that they've seen that they like, be it, let's just say, I'm just making it up, but let's say Tell has a good cross on him. Suddenly it's like, oh, the kid can cross. I saw something I liked, or he played really well for a half against, I don't know, Chelsea last season. There's that potential in him. Fans attach to the smallest things.
Exactly.
Suddenly believe that player has the potential to kick on. Okay, well, did he kick on after that one wonderful half against Chelsea? Obviously, I'm making it up. I don't know if he even played against Chelsea. But that's the thing. Fans need to be a bit more brutal in their assessments of a player. If a player's gone 5 to 10 games without producing anything, then I'm sorry, in this day and age, there needs to be someone who's challenging that player for that position to overtake him. So the sentimentality, it's not just in the Spurs space, not in the Forest, but it's a football thing, isn't it? There's certain players, also,
of course it is.
The other thing is, Savva, just one more point. The other thing is, a lot of people who have their preconceived idea of a player coming in. Let's just say you got a Eze in, not Eze. Let's go for an unknown player. Let's say with Forest, for example, Forest got Dan Doy, who probably most Premier League fans haven't seen too much of. If a Forest fan has made their opinion beforehand that this guy is a dud, then he will be a dud until he does something ridiculous like go on a winning streak of scoring. If you've made the opinion that this guy is the next Messi, then you will be blinkered towards all the mistakes he may make and everything like that, because there's this thing that a football fan doesn't like, the idea of being wrong on a player.
See, do you know what? The difference is I always want to be wrong. Like, let's use Matisse Tell, for example. I've watched Matisse Tell at Bayern Munich. I've watched Matisse Tell for France under-21s, and I've watched Matisse Tell for Spurs. I can genuinely say, when people say you've got an agenda, I genuinely don't know why I would have an agenda against anyone. It just makes no sense.
Agendas,
right? Like, I've watched him, and not one part of me has ever gone, I'll tell you what, yeah. Right? But there are people that go, oh, I see something in him. And I'm like, cool. But he's not scoring goals. He's not assisting. Now that's okay on its own for a young player. That's fine, but he's not causing defenses problems. He's not bamboozling fullbacks and giving them a torrid game, right? Because if he was doing that and the GA wasn't there, I could turn around and go, I'll tell you what, a couple of years he'll add that. Ronaldo, when he was a kid, not putting him on that. When Ronaldo was a kid,
Savino would be a good example. His GA is terrible.
A great example, right? But what we've got is we've got a guy who, he's got a good cross. But we've got a guy who's got a good cross who's done absolutely nothing. And fans go, You'll all be wrong about that. And I'm like, okay, don't worry about whether I'm going to be wrong about it in the future. What about now? What have you seen now? Yeah, but he works hard. Cool. So what? He's a professional footballer. I fully expect him to work hard. And
minimum requisite.
this is the problem. And I don't want to pick on Tell. I think Spurs have got loads of them, Wolfie. Spurs have got loads of them. And then what we do is take Archie Gray. Archie Gray could develop into the greatest midfielder the world has ever seen, for all I know. What we do is we see nothing. He has a good pre-season game for 45 minutes against Newcastle. And people start going, there you go. I told you were all wrong about Gray. And you're like, whoa, what? Hang on. Fabrizio Romano said something. Let me bring it up. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano said something.
Is he?
Wow.
Keen on Tottenham move. Interesting.
Let's share the screen. Right. I love the way that this gets called a bomber. I love it. But listen, I love that photo of Eze as well. Very, very cute in the specs. Eberici Eze, keen on Tottenham move as Palace are informed of his desire to play Champions League football. Deal now depends on club-to-club talks, but Spurs are seriously working on it, as reported earlier.
Is that saying that he wants Spurs? Because usually Romano would be like, no issue with personal terms or whatever it is. His desire to play Champions League football. That still, for me, feels like a call out to Arsenal, mate.
Hey, listen.
But what it's saying very clearly is that he's more than happy to leave Palace. So hold that, D. Deal now depends on club-to-club talks, but Spurs are seriously working on it. Interesting. I think this is a tough one to do, but if you get it, I would applaud it. Like, well done. But I'm still, just the language, Romano's language for there, it still smells a bit Arsenal-like to me, mate.
I think what you're saying, what would be good for Spurs fans to see here is no problems, player to player, no problem. Listen, I don't think there will be, by the way. I think, Sonny leaving frees up 200 grand a week. I don't see any problems. I'm
not saying from he wants 200k and you're only saying 120. I'm saying from his personal desire of the move. I think, look, this is how I read it. I don't know if you'd agree with me. He would move to Spurs if Arsenal don't move on him. I don't know if that makes sense. That kind of is the feeling. If Arsenal come in, I would expect him to go, because he's an Arsenal fan, isn't he? I think I heard some. I don't know how true that is. You never know these footballers anymore. But I think if Arsenal don't move on him and he wants Champions League football, you could get this done.
Look, at the end of the day, as a Spurs fan, I'm going to choose to use the line that says Eze keen on the deal, right? Eze keen on Tottenham Hotspur. Look, as I've said, none of this matters, right? Wolfie, let's be brutally honest. None of how we interpret it matters unless Spurs hit the number that Crystal Palace want. Like none of it.
We should be able to.
We can agree personal terms. Eze could turn around and go, you're not my first choice, but I'll join, or you are my first choice and I'll join. None of that matters if Tottenham and Crystal Palace don't get to a deal. I'm going to say it for the 900th time this morning. If Spurs want him, Daniel Levy, go and get this deal done. If we want him, show us that you mean business. Show us that we are important to you, the fan base. Show us that the manager, right? Show us why. This is the other thing, Wolfie. Show us why you went and spent 17 million to sack Ange and bring in Frank Staff and Frank. Show us. Because if you're not going to back him, no point. Got to back him.
My brother's
let me ask you,
unbearable if you get him.
Right, let's play the hypothetical game. We're playing the hypothetical game, Wolfie. Spurs signed Savio and Eze, right? Let's say we do nothing else in the window. Just those two, right? And you've got Savinho, Eze, Paulinho, Kudus. So you've got your right wing, your attack midfield, your left wing, and your DM.
Are you playing in the 8? Are you playing in the 8?
Oh, my God, Nate. Oh, have a day off. Not this, not you. Have a day off. Saying the man looked cute. I was taking the pit. Oh, my Gosh, what
It's
is
from a
wrong
guy
with-
who's got a topless picture of a man in his
So
profile.
I've just blocked him indefinitely. Where do you think Spurs finish or should be?
Who are you playing in the
aiming
8?
for?
Who are you playing in the 8 is my question.
I'll tell you what, why don't I show you? I'll show you what it would look like. Okay. Now again, this is me saying this. I think most Spurs fans would agree with me that it would look like that. Maybe a Dogie for Spence, that type of thing. But I think very much you're looking at Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Spence, Paulinho and Bentancur with Kudus, Eze, Savinho and Solanke. That's how I would see it.
Envisage it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a Dogie. Maybe there'll be games where Bergvall starts in the 8 instead of Bentancur, but roughly that. Roughly.
I see good and bad in that. I really like the attacking 3, as in not the striker. I don't rate Solanke. I love Paulinho. I think he's a quality signing. The defense is all right. My only concern about your defense, and I know you'll come at me for this, is Van der Ven in a Frank system. If he's just a pure defender and not that recovery defender, I've seen some elements in this game that do worry me, but it's nothing major to worry about. It's not bad. It's not bad. Where does that finish you? I put you down. I did my predictions this morning. I think I put you down as 10th or 9th. I can't remember, in and around there. That pushes you up probably somewhere between 6th and 8th. Somewhere around there, 6th to 8th. I just think Solanke's not that guy. I really like the 3 behind. I can't even troll that one. Paulinho is brilliant. Bentancur, can he stay fit? Spence, I love Spence still.
Do you want to know my issues
solid.
with it?
It's solid. Gone.
I agree with you. For me, I think, by the way, a lot of people, again, they won't listen to what I'm about to say here, Wolfie. But again, this is a big season. Yeah, they'll hear what they want to hear from what I'm about to say. This is a big season for Mickey Van der Ven. Because you're right. Mickey Van der Ven was brought to play an Ange system, which made Mickey Van der Ven look the hero. Because he's the quickest, if I'm not wrong, isn't he the quickest defender in world football? But either way, he's the quickest player in the Premier League, whatever. He's rapid, right? And that allowed him to get us out of trouble. I'm not knocking that. That's a brilliant skill set to have. Amazing. Now, what we're going to do is now we've got a back 4, a proper back 4, Wolfie. We're going to see how good is he with the actual defending element of defending, positional sense.
That's my point.
Heading, marking, watching his player as he makes runs, staying with his player. How does he bond with his left back? Now, listen, I'm not sitting here and saying he can't do that. I'm just saying it's a big year for him to show that. So there's the first area.
I agree with that.
Second area for me is Bentancur. This guy is an absolute enigma for me. There are games where I watch Bentancur and go, yeah, you're really good. And then there are games where I watch and go, yeah, you're not good at all. And yes, he's had massive injuries. For me, I would say that if we can't upgrade this window, I would say that would be why we wanted someone like a Morgan Gibbs-White. I would say
I was going to say he's perfect in that. If you're going to put Gibbs-White instead of Bentancur, then that's the exact position I would play Gibbs-White. It would work. That would work.
I agree. So that is an area I would look at as to, okay, how good is he? But then again, how good is Bergvall? Maybe the guy to come in and again, I don't think right now Bergvall's ready to be that guy, but can we progress him? And then you're right, Solanke for me, this is a huge season for Solanke. At the moment, Solanke for me is everything I've said he is. Now, I'm bound to say this because it was my opinion. Solanke is a guy that's had one good year. As it stands, this is a guy who's had one good year. And if his career ended right now, you would say Solanke was a very average striker who had that one year where he got 19 Premier League goals. This year, he needs to show that's not the case. This year, he needs to go and get 19, 20 league goals for me. And with those 3 behind him, there would be no excuses for me.
Exactly that.
Is that fair?
I think it's fair. Look, I've seen a lot of Solanke because obviously we were playing him in the championship. In the championship, he absolutely cooks. like walks it in the chamber, and he did. In the Premier League, he just has this thing about scoring against Forest. He pisses me off, so I don't like him as it is. But I just find him too stiff of a striker. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just, it doesn't flow naturally for me as a striker. I expect him in the box at times. You find he's dropped deep at times. I think positionally, he's not that good. I don't like him. And he stole Brennan Johnson's celebration as well, which pissed me off. So there's a lot of it. He has elements within him. He's very good in the air. He has scored a few against us with headers and what have you. But he's not a top 5 striker, is the point I'm making.
I agree.
That's the point. Is he a competent striker? Yes. I would expect something like 10 to 12 goals out of him a year. But if you're putting him with an Eze, with a Kudos in behind, and he's getting 10 to 12 goals, that's still not a good return, because you would expect a lot of chances to be created for him. What's my mate Ben saying now?
So Ben Jacobs has just said this. Eberechi Eze open to Tottenham and would also welcome an Arsenal bid, having spoken to Arteta already. Spurs are the ones moving. Arsenal waiting as it stands with outgoings to focus. Ethan Waneri also viewed as a number 10 option. Now, I look at this in 2 ways. 1, very worried that Arsenal are still there. 2, if Arsenal are waiting and Tottenham are the ones moving, move now, move. Like today, move today. Because how embarrassing for us, right? How embarrassing for Spurs fans, how embarrassing for YouTubers going on panel shows next year if Tottenham dilly and dally with this and then Arsenal swoop in at the last minute and go, boom.
It's not even that, mate. It would be worse. Let's just say at the moment it feels like Arsenal weren't going in. If you wake Arsenal up into going in, it would have been better off for you if you just left them at Crystal Palace, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, could that happen? I think those words, again, you can read them both ways, but would welcome a move from Arsenal. It just smells to me like the agent on his side is trying to wake Arsenal up. We know he's talked to
Arsenal, right? It's not. We know he's talked to Arsenal early in the window, but surely, to your point, the next thing we should see is Spurs have agreed a fee with Crystal Palace for Eze, and Arsenal have got nowhere to go because they haven't sold players. What we don't want to see in the next 48 hours is Trossard signed for so-and-so. And I don't know who else they're selling. I don't know. Martinelli has signed for so-and-so, and you're adding this 20 million to this 30 million, and all of a sudden you're going, oh, shit. This is in Daniel Levy and Enix's hands. This is in our hands. This is in our hands if we want to get it done.
I don't know, mate. I think this is in Eze's hands. This is in Eze's hands.
Only if Arsenal bid.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It just feels, I think Eze's stance on this is, if Arsenal come in, I go to Arsenal. If they don't come in, cool. Spurs got Champions League, I'll go to Spurs. I think it's nearly that black and white. The question is, how long will he wait? How long will he wait?
Agreed. This is the thing. If they don't come in and Spurs, again, isn't it something to show the player? So, like, if, for example, I know I'm living in dream world here. If, for example, Spurs went and whacked down the exact fee that Palace wanted today, no backwards and forwards for days, just, right, what's it going to take? And Daniel Levy has a moment where he's of weakness and says, all right, 70 million, I don't know, just for example.
Yeah.
Doesn't that show the player as well? Look how serious we are. You're going to be our main man, our highest paid player. We've whacked down the money for you. Dude, jump over. Start on Saturday, our first league game against Burnley.
Does he care, though?
Don't operate.
Does he care if you've put in 70 mil or whatever, or is he more interested in his weekly wage, his signing on fee, and what have you? I don't know, mate. I think this is going to be an interesting one to play out.
It will show that we value him. Hey, we've not bid 50 million for you. We've bid 70. Palace wanted 70.
What I'm saying is, if you value him, for me, a bigger sign of valuation for the player would be, okay, mate, you said you want 100k, we're going to give you 150. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of more to him. You wanted a signing on bonus of X million, we're going to double that. This is how serious we are about it. I think that's more important for the player. I think the agreement club to club is what the clubs value him at or what his market value is, etc. I think for you to woo him, it's more on the wages side. If he's asking for 120 and you go, we're going to give you 150. I just think that's more of a woo for him. Or that you're saying to him that we want to, I think the key words in this conversation, because let's be honest, mate, 100K or 150K to these guys, chump change, right? I think the key conversation is two things. One, World Cup year. And secondly, we build this team around you. You are that guy. Will Arteta say that to you? Will Arteta say that to you?
Mm-hmm. Let me ask everyone in the chat. I just need to do a few super chats. Let me ask everyone in the chat.
I'm going to have to drop, mate.
No, bounce. Listen, thanks, Wolfie. I always like to get the input of someone who's not Spurs because otherwise we all get caught in our own little bubble. So appreciate that, mate.
Keep this positivity, mate. It's nice to see you happy. It's nice to see you happy. Listen,
when Spurs do something positive, I'll be positive. If this falls apart, you're going to see the other side. You're going to see the other side.
Yeah. And approach him legally, bro. Just approach him legally. Don't make the same mistake.
Thanks for the advice. See you later, mate.
See you later, bro.
Everyone in the chat right now, let me know. Let me know. If Eze and Savinho were to sign, what would you rate the window out of 10? What would you rate the window out of 10? For me, I'd give it a 9. It would have been a 10 if we got a striker as well, but I'll give it a 9. I think that it would be that good. A DM who's very good, a top right winger, a top left winger, and a top playmaker for me is a 9. A 9 out of 10. At the moment, I think it's a 5. There you go. At the moment, I think it's a 5. Let me do some super chats and I'll come to that. George, big up to you. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you very much, George. Always very kind to me. So thank you very much, buddy. Big up to Kyle Boyd, who's just put in a super sticker. Thank you very much, bro. Really appreciate that as well, Kyle. Very generous. Craig Scott, DJ General Tracks, has said, if Spurs pull this off, I will be a happy DJ. Craig, I will be a happy Spurs fan. I'll be happy. I'll tell you what, if Spurs pull this off, I'll come and see wherever you're DJing next. Sod it. We'll have a drink together. Big up to you, Craig. Really appreciate that. Big up to Aris. Always very, very generous from out there in Australia. Said, I hope it's not hot air blowing. Listen, this is what we all hope, right? This is what we all hope. If it's hot air, we're all going to be very, very upset. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. Big up to Lily White India. Said, what are the odds that we're being used again as a pawn to get a better deal with Arsenal? I'm guessing that's the game that we have to be involved in. I'm guessing that is a possibility. It's not a possibility we want, but it's a possibility we might be involved in. Hopefully, that's not right. Hopefully. We will see. We will see. Big up to you, Lily White's India. I appreciate that. Bed knobs and broomsticks said, which finisher would you realistically like? I quite like Callum though, as a player. I like Wissa. I like that profile of player. One of those quick, nippy, in and around the box, get shots away. I quite like that type of player. So yeah, I would say that. Thank you very much. I would say Jakey Tarantino said, just waiting on Mr. Marinakis to approve the Eze deal. Oh, Mr. Marinakis. Mr. Marinakis. I don't want to hear that name ever again, Jakey. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. Big up to Isaac the Red. Isaac the Red. How you doing, Isaac? Hope you're well. Thank you very much. Very generous again this morning. Said Eze wants UEFA Champions League, not Tottenham. Aren't Tottenham in the Champions League? Last time I checked as a Spurs fan, my club were in the Champions League this year. Hey, just saying. Big up to you. Thank you very much. You lot being very generous today. Lee has said 8 out of 10 with those two, 9 out of 10 with a striker, and a 10 out of 10 with an 8. Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I just feel like realistically, we were never going to sign 6 first-team players in a window. I'd be very happy with 4 very good ones. But I hear your point, Lee. I completely hear your point. Guys and girls, thank you to everyone who's watched so far. We are at 760 likes. We should be at 1,000. So please smash that button. And for anyone who hasn't subscribed, we're nearly at 21.2K already on the votes. Again, look, 700 likes, but we've had 2,400 votes. Right, we've had nearly 4 times the amount of votes to like, so surely we can sort that out. Will Spurs sign Eze and Savinho? Both. 58% of 2,400. 58% are saying both. 5% are saying Eze only. 15% Savinho only. And 22% are saying neither. 22% are saying neither. Let me know in the chat. Let me know. Let's have a look at some of those those numbers. So let's have a look at the general consensus. Loads of people. 8.5, 9 out of 10, 9, 8, 9, 8, 8, 8, 8. Yeah. Listen, at this stage, we'll just be well happy with it, right, Ben? 9, 8, 9. Yeah, I think we're sort of seeing everyone. Oh, only a 7. Oh, Edwards. Hard to please. That's the lowest I've seen so far. 8, 8.5, 9. There's a lot of 8s to 8.5s to 9s in there. I think that's the general. I mean, 6. You can't sign Eze, Savinho, Paulinho, and Kudus and call it a 6. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing there? Come on. Come on. Let's not do that. Mauler. 9, but that's why I would have said a 9. Can't make a team perfect in one window. Absolutely. I'm just seeing, and I'm just trying to see something about Palace. Oh, no, that's about their conference league. I'm just trying to check. Loads of people are sending stuff. Look, guys, girls, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to do some super chats, but I am going to leave it there because, I'm going to do a video. We'll go live later tonight. Let's see what's happened between tonight and later tonight. Big up to each and every one of you. Big up to George, who said, love the channel. Super chats are well-deserved, buddy. Thank you very much. It does make a difference as well. It really, truly does. So thank you very much for that, George. I really appreciate you, my man. Thank you. At Boris, big up to you, Boris, said, not going to lie, I see a loan for a left-back and a striker in the January window. Maybe though, that with Spence being able to play right back and left back, that we don't go in for that. Maybe he sees Van der Ven can cover there. And David, I don't know. We'll see, though. But it's a good shout. It's a good shout, Boris. Big up to you. And Isaac the Reds come back in and said, as in only going to Spurs for Champions League. I see what you mean. So you want to come to us because we're Champions League, but not because we're Tottenham Hotspur. Bit harsh. But it is what it is. Look, guys, let me see if I can send you anywhere. Let's see who's live, shall we? Thank you very much. It's been a great show this morning. Look, lots of news. It's all happening, and we need Spurs to follow through with some of this, don't we? Let me see if I can see anybody who's live or going live very, very soon. Is anyone live or going live? I'm going to send you over to LB. Who I'm guessing is talking about the Savinho deal. He is. So please get over there. When you get there, I want a load of you to say Savva Raid. Thank you very much. Much love. Take care. I'll be back tonight. And as always, come on, you Spurs.